Everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. We're of course talking about the latest episode of Doctor Who Rogue, and I just have to say, this feels like the most traditional Doctor Who episode we have gotten in a very long time. I don't want to break down too much of the actual story because chances are you've already watched this episode. If you haven't watched it yet, please go. Oh, that is a very loud bike. And it's gone. Okay. If you haven't watched this episode yet, please go watch it first. We're going to be talking about spoilers throughout this entire video. So go watch the episode, then come back. I would really appreciate that because I don't want to, of course, spoil this episode for you. But yes, guys, this feels like the most traditional episode of Doctor Who we have gotten in a very long time. I love Jonathan Groff in this episode. He was amazing. And Ncuti Gatwa was, again, fantastic as the Doctor. And I just have to say, this episode gave me serious Girl in the Fireplace vibes. And I know I'm not going to be the only one saying that. I'm going to be going onto Facebook fan pages tonight. And I can guarantee you that I'm going to be seeing that exact same comment everywhere. So yes, I mentioned this feels like the most traditional Doctor Who episode we've got in the season. But can I be honest with you guys? I really miss seeing the TARDIS. The TARDIS used to feel like a character within Doctor Who in and of itself. But we've barely seen the TARDIS this season. Yes, we've had a lot of Doctor Who light episodes. Like, the Doctor is very often not an actual lead in this season, unfortunately, especially with the last two episodes. But the TARDIS, we don't see the interior ever anymore. Whenever the episode starts, Ruby and the Doctor are already at their new location. The adventure's already started. I just really miss when the episodes would start with the Doctor and his companion walking out of the TARDIS into the new world. That felt like they've actually traveled, you know what I mean? Like, they've moved rather than just appearing in these different places. I miss seeing the TARDIS, and I really hope the TARDIS will start to appear as a larger part of the show moving forward. But something that I haven't seen in a long time, and I was very happy that it made its return, was Psychic Paper. I loved Psychic Paper, and I loved the role it played in this, as it also kind of started the banter between Jonathan Groff's character Rogue, who I'll talk about now, and the Doctor. Seeing the Psychic Paper made me really happy because I'm busy rewatching season 1, you know, the 2005 revival series, and they use the Psychic Paper all the time. And I was like, when was the last time Psychic Paper played a big role? It played a proper role in this episode, and that made my heart happy. But yes, Jonathan Groff as Rogue, I loved him. He was awesome. He reminded me so much of Captain Jack Harkness. They had the exact same charisma, in fact, in this role. You could have actually just replaced Rogue with Captain Jack, and I wouldn't have even noticed it. Like, their characters are very similar, but it's updated to tell the story they wanted to tell with this episode. And so, yes, the main crux of this episode is a romance between the Doctor and Rogue, and lots of people are going to find that very frustrating. But Ncuti Gatwa and Jonathan Groff, they pulled it off. They had great chemistry, and if you're going to have actors of their calibers wanting to tell a love story, I mean, they could have gone and done a much worse job. They told a very good story with this episode, and I really enjoyed it. But we're seeing a lot more of the Ncuti Gatwa Doctor tropes in this episode. Again, he's singing. I enjoy the fact that he sings in almost every episode. I do like it. In fact, in this episode, he's actually singing some of the songs from Willy Wonka, which I thought was funny. But again, he does cry. And I will say, in this episode, it got to me a little bit. In my previous video, I was talking about how I think people need to stop complaining about the fact that the Doctor cries so much. But in this episode, I was actually like, yep, there's the crying. And not that I necessarily have an issue with it, but it is the fact that he cries in every single episode. It is wearing thin now. Like, if you're crying in every episode, it takes away from the moments where you do need to cry. Like, when we have those moments with David Tennant didn't cry often, but he did cry. And when he cried, you felt it. And so with Ncuti Gatwa, when the first few times you see him cry, you're like, wow, that's a serious scene. This is a serious moment. This is a proper emotion he's feeling. It's starting to dilute that now. I want them to dial it back a little bit. I don't mind when he cries, but not when it starts to feel like I can have a checklist. And he's going to cry in this episode, he's going to sing in this episode, etc. Dial it back just a little bit, in my opinion. Not because I think it's, toxic masculinity or it's femininity or anything like that. I just feel like it dilutes the emotion or the emotional weight of specific scenes. And then I just have to say, I really don't like the fact that they kept making Bridgerton jokes in this episode. Almost every single scene, they're like, oh, that's so Bridgerton. This is very Bridgerton. It was very obvious that this episode was inspired by Bridgerton, especially because the main villains of the show, which I think were actually our most well-rounded villains in the season as well. I mean, we actually got their motivations. We got a slight story with them. They had a little bit of character development, not a lot. But considering how in 73 yards we know nothing, the slugs and dots and bubbles have no story. So like the fact that we actually got a little bit of a understanding of these aliens made my heart happy, because that was something that was so great about Doctor Who, is their wide range of aliens, their enemies, the nemesis of the Doctor. It's just fun to learn more about these alien races, and we did have a lot of time to just learn how this race of aliens works and how they're pretty much just massive cosplay fans, and so they want to go around cosplaying around the universe. And so again, that's very much Bridgerton, very much drama heavy, gossip heavy. I'm just going to say it. And I think it's really weird that this is going to be the second time I mention Outlander in a Doctor Who review / reaction. If you guys enjoy Bridgerton, watch Outlander. It's the superior period drama. I know I mentioned that in my review for Boom, but I felt like I could mention that again. But guys, I really did enjoy this episode. I know I was a little bit negative in different spaces, but this is probably, of the last few episodes, my favorite, because it felt like traditional Doctor Who again, and I've been missing that. I want to see more episodes like this where I feel like I'm watching Doctor Who and I'm just happy to be a fan again. But guys, I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings of this episode. Comment down below. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, give this video a like, and I hope to see you guys again in the next video.